Hey, Faith Community, we are back with another devotional. Today we are in Acts chapter 12, which has been described as some of Luke's best narrative writing. So the story in Acts chapter 12 sort of grips us, and we want to see what's happening and what's going on. And it starts out saying about that time. So at the end of Acts 11, we see that there's a famine, and there's some reason to believe this happens right after that. So after that time, King Herod, and this is the grandson of Herod the Great. He violently attacked some who belonged to the church, and he executed James, John's brother, with the sword. When he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter too, during the festival of unleavened bread. And so how these leaders that were over the Jews who were under the Roman Empire, how they wanted to operate was to be at peace with Rome, right? They didn't want Rome to get reports that the Jewish people were sort of revolting, or that the Jewish people were pushing back against the Roman leadership and the Roman way of life. And so what King Herod is trying to do here is he's trying to squelch this uprising of Christians that are happening. And this is sort of how he operates. He wanted to take those who were in the social minority and squash them down to please the masses, because the masses were the ones who were going to be loudest in Rome's ear. And Herod wanted to look good to the Roman Empire. And so this is sort of how he operates. So he saw that when he executed James, the brother of John, that it pleased the Jews. And so if you like that, wait till see what I have next. We'll arrest Peter, who is one of the leaders of this Christian uprising. And then as we continue to read through the chapter, we just see that God has such providence over the lives of everyone involved. We see that for no apparent human reason, James is executed. We see that Peter is arrested, and yet clearly through no human logic or reasoning or means, Peter is released from prison through miracle after miracle happening. And then at the end, we see Herod's death again defy human logic. And so throughout this entire chapter, one of the things that we see is that God is obviously in complete control. And I think that's what God is trying to demonstrate to these early Christians now. As I look, I'm your God, I'm in control, and the picture that I'm painting over the scope of human history is far bigger than this finite time and this finite location. That what I'm trying to do here is much bigger than that. And another point that we see in Acts chapter 12 is just the community, the beauty of community inside this early church. We see that when Peter is arrested, Peter is kept in prison in verse 5, but the church was praying fervently to God for him. And this is what we as the church need to be doing. This is what part of being the body of Christ. This is what is attractive to the church, is us praying for one another. As many of you know, last week was a tough week for many of us, as we saw Curtis and Deanne's daughter just go through complications with surgery. Today that I'm filming this is Tuesday. You'll be watching it on Thursday, so there's a lot of unknowns that are going to happen between now and Thursday when you see this. But one of the things that I noticed on Sunday is as Curtis and Deanne were sending out updates on their daughter, just seeing groups of Christians around the church just gathering together and fervently praying for Natalie. And it's what we need to be doing. It's what our responsibility is, and not just, especially when these tragedies come, but not limited to that we need to be uplifting one another in prayer constantly. God hears these prayers. God answers these prayers. And we just see it played out beautifully in Acts chapter 12, where where they're praying, and we don't know how long they're praying from when he's arrested to when he's released. It could be days that they're praying, and they're later in the chapter they're gathered at a house, they're praying together, just fervently begging their God to release Peter so that they can have their brother in faith back. And that's what we need to be doing. So things to remember from Acts chapter 12 is that God is in control. God is over life and death. He doesn't always use human means and human logic, but God always is painting that beautiful picture. And even if we don't understand it now, and I'm sure that John and John's family was crushed by the death of James. I'm sure that the early church was crushed by the imprisonment of Peter, but as we now 2,000 years later can look back at these events, we can see God's work and how it's played out beautifully. And the other thing to remember is just us as a church, just being a family, being a body of Christ, being brothers and sisters who are weeping with those who weep and rejoicing with those who rejoice. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you soon. God bless.